Did the Buffalo Sabres actually do enough to make it to the playoffs this upcoming season? What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Sports Talk Buffalo. If you are new here, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you guys never miss a video. We are well into the NHL offseason as the draft has concluded, and NHL free agency is now more than a week into the books, and things have begun to settle down in the NHL as we approach the dog days of the offseason. So just what have the Buffalo Sabres done so far? Well, let's start with free agency. The free agent signings aren't many. Realistically, the Buffalo Sabres, going outside the organization, signed a couple of free agents, but there's really only one notable free agent in my opinion, and that is backup goaltender Alex Lyon, 32 years old, coming off of two pretty solid seasons in Detroit. 2 seasons ago, he went on a very good run to help Detroit make it to the playoffs. And last season, he had a decent season. I mean, his save percentage is still not great, but his wins and losses is still pretty solid. He went 14-9-1 with an .896 save percentage. Again, coming from Detroit, I think this is a great signing. And I think this is actually going to push Luukkonen for starts in the NHL. This is a very solid, backup plan. If Luukkonen starts to struggle, look for Alex Lyon to start to get more and more games, especially if he is playing well. Lindy Ruff is not afraid to ride the hot hand in terms of goaltending. And as you know, last year, goaltending was mostly bad for the Buffalo Sabres. So again, good signing in free agency to get a quality backup goaltender for UPL. And now, honestly, we got to move right on to the trades because that's pretty much all the Buffalo Sabres did outside of, a couple AHL signings and maybe a bottom 6 signing in free agency. There really wasn't much to report on. So now we go to the trades. And there was a couple of trades, but there were 2 big trades, in my opinion, to note for the Buffalo Sabres that could potentially help them going into this season. The first, of course, being the Buffalo Sabres sending defenseman Connor Clifton and the second round pick in this past draft to the Penguins in exchange for defenseman Connor Timmins and defenseman Isaac Bolivier. Bolivier is pretty much an AHL defenseman so far in his career, hasn't really made the leap. However, Connor Timmins is a very solid defenseman who is starting to come into his own, in my opinion. He played 68 games last season. He had 3 goals, 12 assists, 15 points, and he had really solid underlying numbers. So realistically, when you look if you're looking at analytically, Connor Timmins is much better than was Connor Clifton. And I think provided he's able to stay healthy and he's got to give you more than 68 games. We got to be in that 75 game range for him to, in my opinion, really make a difference. If he can play into that 75 game range and really stay healthy and really be a contributor like we saw him do last season, I think the Sabres got themselves an upgrade over Connor Clifton on their third pair. He is also cheaper, which does give the Sabres a little bit more leeway in terms of signing free agents, which we just talked about they did not do. However, again, they did have a little bit of cap space if somebody were to offer Sheet Bowen Byram, which was a rumor for a while. Not really a rumor on the table that I'm seeing anymore. However, the Sabres did have that cap space to use if it was necessary for them to do so. Now, the second and, of course, biggest trade for the Buffalo Sabres this offseason is that they sent stud left winger J.J. Peterka, who was a restricted free agent, to the Utah Mammoth in exchange for right-hand defenseman Michael Kesselring and center/right wing Josh Doan. Now, Buffalo has been reported pretty much all of last season to want to fill out their top four, and were willing to give up some pieces to try to get that top four filled to help out Owen Power on the back end. They wanted a quality right-hand defenseman, and as you know, those are in short supply in the NHL. A reliable right-handed top four defenseman, something the Sabres wanted and they got. However, I think they paid dearly to get it, right? So they also did get Josh Doan in this deal. But let's talk about Kesselring. First, he does fit the bill of what the Buffalo Sabres want. He is a big kid, 6'5", 215 pounds. He is a two-way defenseman. And like Timmins, this young man is really starting to come into his own. He played all 82 games last season. We're recording a career high in goals, assists, and points. He had 7 goals, 22 assists for 29 points. Kesselring also showed that he isn't afraid to drop the gloves when needed. He did have a fight last season against the Buffalo Sabres and Beck Malenstein. He also had 4 other fights last season, something that the Sabres really need to do. They want to get harder to play against, and it's not just fighting. It's an all-encompassing type thing, and the Sabres really need guys that are harder to play against, and I do think Kesselring does fit that bill. Big defenseman, can skate. He's long. I feel like he needs to fill out a little bit more, but I don't think he's going to fill out anymore. I think he's 26 years old, but maybe get a little bit stronger. However, again, put him in a bigger role. I think he averaged 16, 17 and a half minutes of ice time last year in Utah. Will he be better or worse with the additional 3 to 3.5 minutes of ice time that he is likely to get per night with the Buffalo Sabres? Time will tell. Also involved in that deal was, of course, young right wing Josh Doan. He is a very solid, from what I've seen, very, very solid bottom 6 forward with the potential, if you look at what he was able to do in the lower levels, with the potential to maybe develop into a top 6 forward for the Buffalo Sabres. He's big, he skates fast, he's not afraid to go to the dirty areas, he doesn't mind going in front of the net and making that his home. Very solid two-way forward for the Buffalo Sabres, just 23 years old, heading into just his second full season in the NHL. He posted 19 points in 51 games, 7 goals, and 12 assists. That would put him on about a 30-point pace if he were to play all 82 games for the next season for the Buffalo Sabres. That's really not bad. It's really solid for your bottom 6. Again, I think this young man has potential to maybe jump into that middle 6 role, that second, third line role, depending on how he continues to develop. Now, realistically, we asked a question earlier, did the Buffalo Sabres do enough to make it to the playoffs and end that 14-season playoff-less streak? And they have a revamped defense. They have a quality backup goaltender. They had some additions to their bottom 6. But is it enough to get them to the playoffs? In my opinion, realistically, I don't think so. I don't think that is enough to get the Sabres to where they want to be. They were 12 points out last season, and their offense is arguably worse this season, getting rid of your second best scorer in J.J. Peterka. But their defense is arguably better, bringing in guys like Kesselring and Timmins on the back end. So is it a wash? I mean, I'm not really sure. I'm not sure how the Sabres want to play and going forward. However, in my opinion, The Sabres need a lot of things to go right for them to be a potential bubble team, to be fighting for one of those wild card playoff spots. We need Tage Thompson to do Tage Thompson things. We need Alex Tuch to do Alex Tuch things. And we need some of the younger guys to find their scoring touch. I think this is the season where we really see what Zach Benson could potentially be all about. He really needs to take that next step. Same thing with Jack Quinn. They're really banking on these guys to take large leaps forward in their development and be big-time contributors for the Buffalo Sabres. How it's going to work out, I'm not sure. Hadn't really worked out so far for the Buffalo Sabres. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Did the Sabres do enough? I mean, they shored up their back end, but they created a hole on their front end. So, I mean, I guess it really just depends on what they were looking for this offseason. I don't necessarily think they did enough. Once again, let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. That's going to do it for this video, guys. I want to remind you guys to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you guys never miss a video. I talk Bills, Sabres, and the University at Buffalo men's basketball and football teams right here on this page. I want to thank you guys all for watching, and as always, have a fantastic week.